Hey there everyone, welcome back to Gamevine. My name is Dave, and this is Catacombs, the 3rd edition. Ugh. This is a big box. Now, as a disclaimer, this is a review copy from Elzra Games. Thank you so very much for your support. I really do appreciate it. Now, I have longed for the day to get my hands on a copy of Catacombs. Even the 1st edition, which I hear doesn't have great art, the concept for me is nailing on everything that I like about a game, with the exception of one thing. And the one thing is building up something in front of you like a dexterity game, like a tower. But this game actually does look pretty on the table, so that might be hitting on that flavor. But what I mean is, I love dexterity games, I love fantasy, and I love dungeon crawlers. All in video games and stories, like when I read, and in board games for sure. And the 2nd edition of this game really did up the production, changed the art, but the 3rd edition here, from my understanding, really pounded away at the production and gave great mats, added all the expansions. Today I'm going to be going over the basic gameplay of Catacombs and telling you what I think, though I do plan on going back to this box and showing off the expansions as we go on further down the line in the future, because this is a lot in this box. But starting off Dexterity Week, I mean, you couldn't start off much better with this. I mean, look at all those awards. I mean, going into it, there's some hyperbole, and knowing what I like, you know I'm going to probably like this game. But how much do I like it? Well, you're going to have to wait until I show you what comes in this big, beautiful box. I show you the basics on how to play, and then I'll tell you what I think. Alright, let's go. Okay, so I can't stress that I cannot fit all the components in one shot unless I go all the way up to my ceiling. But look at the just melting pot, the plethora, the elegant, the fantastic, the wooden, the components, the mats. I mean, I can go on for days of all these pieces. Now I have one around in a bag here that I'm going to be showing you, so I got those pieced out, but for the most part you are seeing all of them with stickers. Now that took so much time about the stickers here, and there are cubes even that you put stickers on. A bigger disc, little disc, tiny little disc. And these mats that you're seeing here, yeah, these come from the game. Wonderful mats. I will say, I'm glad that they didn't fold them, because that is a crime. There is a bit of a flail at the very end that you would have to take a bit of a weight and kind of flatten it, but nothing too big. Tiny gripe, no linen finish on the cards, but the art and everything is, there's so many cards, it's okay. There are these black cylinders. These are obstacles that you'll be using on most mats. You have the walls that are very thick cardboard. You'll need to have thick cardboard there. You have the player boards as well, and then just all the manuals for the expansions and the base game and the how-to. Just so very much stuff, and I love it. Okay, let me show you the first few rounds of what a game would look like. Okay, so this is the game set up for a basic round, and it kind of looks like the very first round tutorial. You'll have different room cards that you'll be going over. It'll lay out what you have to set out for that room. One person will be taking control of all these minions over here. They are the overlord, and then there will be 1 to 4 people taking control of the other heroes. Everybody will have their hero board here. The overlord will have his cards and the minions with their powers and all that on there. And then the heroes will do the same thing, getting their powers and their weapons and everything that they start with. Now you will be going through the rooms, gaining gold, and going to merchants and healers and stuff, and getting other spells, weapons, and stuff like that. But again, I'm not going to be going over all the basics. Know that this is a dungeon crawl, and a lot of things that you've experienced in a dungeon crawl, you will be experiencing in this game. But I will just show you how a kind of round would go. Now all the minions here have 1 hit point, other than the ones that have double sides here, then they'll have 2, and if they have more, it will be explained on the card. Now the heroes will go first. Everybody will take their turn on their side, and some may have a familiar like this one right here, and they will flick, and they can either rush, and if they are rushing, that means they were just moving, and if they hit anything, they just displace it, but they don't actually damage it. Or they can use a power spell / attack, and if they do that and they hit something, then it is taken off the board if its hit points are down. Now let's say something goes off the board like that. Well, it would just go back onto the board wherever it left the board in the first place. So let's go ahead and take a turn. The chicken here, we'll just say that we're going to be attacking. So now he hit the obstacle, left right there. Perfect example on how that goes. Now let's say the wizard's going to use his spell barrier. First he uses this spell barrier, and then he will go ahead and flick this, and then the spell barrier will go back between him and another place. Now this elf here has a familiar that she will use. Now you can flick by doing this, like this, however you're most comfortable with. Now she's going to rush and then use her arrow. So she can try to shoot something if she wants, and there is no friendly fire, so it hit the familiar, nothing to do, nothing, no damage would be done. But let's say that happened, this guy got hit, there's nothing on the other side, he gets damaged. This will go onto the trophy card, well, this will go onto the player's card as a trophy, and they will get gold at the end of the turn, depending on how much gold the minion gives. So it matters that you keep the minion. Now that is what can happen, but let's say we're going to use a chain attack. Now the barbarian has something that has a chain attack. It's just all these fists. This is a rush, this is a fist. There's a lot of iconography, but again, there's a book that explains it all. But we're going to do the chain attack. So if we're able to go all the way over and let's say hit somebody, then we can attack again, but we gotta attack a different minion. This one will be knocked out. Let's say we hit this guy, he would get flipped over. We gotta attack another minion. We did that, we hit him, but he would come back on the board. We have one more chain attack, and he just went crazy. So I think he kind of tagged him, but we're not gonna say he did. So all the heroes have now taken their turn. There are other abilities that they could have used, like a giant fireball if they wanted, or a small fireball if they could have, and knocked some of the Overlord stuff out. But once that is done, the Overlord's turn to knock some sense into the actual heroes. Now every hero starts out with a certain amount of hit points, and they will gauge it right here. More hit points are for other people, and that are like the warrior's going to have more than the warlock. And if you get knocked out, there are stipulations for that, but basically you will just kind of re-roll and start fresh on the new round. So as an Overlord is taking turns, he can go ahead and choose to damage people in any order that he wants, but he gets to take a turn with all these minions that are still alive. So he's going to go ahead and knock the barbarian one. He will get hit for 1 hit point. You would put that on the board as such, but he could have also used his ability, which is the arrow. So he could have tried to shoot the chicken, and he did. He successfully shot that chicken. And the chicken is a hero, which is funny. But you would do the same for like the big guys, and you can just move them. You will use their powers, and if they have rushes and attacks, all that will be in order. Familiars, if they get hit, they also have 1 hit point, so they would get taken off the board. And you would continue to do this until heroes knock out all of the bad guys for that room, and then the heroes will progress to the next room, and it will tell you how to set that room up. There are things that come in the game like gelatinous cubes that are really hard to hit, and there are things like flame traps that when you kill this minion, it becomes a flame trap that will hit you if you actually get anywhere near it and hit it yourself. That will do damage. There are things that will freeze enemies or freeze yourself that have to get knocked off before you can move. There are just many bosses along with the actual boss himself. There's just so much to this game, and this wall keeps everything in place, which is pretty darn nice. But there are stun cards that you can happen. There are poison cards that they've thought and accounted for. There's just so much in this game. But again, you'll continue to do that until you reach the boss and see the outcome, if the heroes win or if the Overlord wins. There are so many different scenarios that come in this game. Different kind of expansions that I do plan on looking at a little further in other videos, but that is the basics. Now you know if you want to play this game. But I mean, these obstructions used to be just little tiny discs. Now that they're this way, I mean, the production of this game, it just makes me, gives me chills. Okay, so let me go ahead and give you my thoughts about this game, and we'll go from there. Let's go. So that is the basics of Catacomb, the 3rd edition. Let's go ahead and give it a grade now. It is the very first 100% here in GameVine. I'm giving it the must-play GameVine award. I wish I could. I'm gonna give it 2. Boom. Yeah, that's right, baby. This is the very first perfect game in my opinion. And again, know that it is settled on a few bias. But even if I didn't like these games at the root, the type of games like Dexterity, I still think this game gets in the high 90s. I mean, look at all their awards. It gets another one in my book. Know that I'm going to go ahead and go over the bad things about it right now, but they're not considered bad in my book. There are a lot of stickers, as I mentioned before. You will be spending a lot of time, and I gotta be honest, thank you so very much, Tiffany, my partner. She really made a difference because I made a few mistakes going into the stickers, and oh man, I'm glad she was there to help me. There is a bit of focus and concentration going into all those stickers, but again, it just makes the game look pretty. And there were so many times going into this game where I was like, as it evolved, like going round through round, when I picked up another character and I was like, what? He does what now? How? What? Who? How do you think of that? This makes so much sense. The intuition of every piece, every flick was seamless, and it just made me feel like I was in the dungeon and allowed me to play a mechanism in a game that I just wanted to come back to over and over again. Now you might get overwhelmed, that might be a downfall too, but you don't have to play everything. This game does a great job in having a manual that walks you straight through each step by step of the first, like, I think it's 4 rounds, so you get enough of a idea of what's going on so you can set up a game. Now the one bad thing I think did kind of hinder me a little bit is really learning how everything worked. It did take a little bit of a curve, but once I read that first manual, played those first few games, I was off to the races. And boy, the horse I was betting on was first place all the way. Boy, I had so much fun with this. The barbarian, every enemy that I faced, every enemy that I played, there were so many games that I just played myself where I was being the overlord and then I was being the 4 characters, and even still with that, it was fantastic. The production, the wall, I really gave that wall a beating. I flicked so many big pieces, tiny pieces, medium-sized pieces as hard as I could to make sure those walls did not break, and I tell ya, they held up with every flick, and they took some notes. And that's basically what I think everything boils down to. The 3rd edition is third time is a charm. It's the creme de la creme. It is now the magnum opus of my collection. They've taken notes over time, gathered feedback, and really just ironed out and I think play tested the heck out of this game to really make it such an experience for people who like dungeon crawlers to come into the Dexterity world and vice versa. I mean, I just can't say enough good things. And again, this is just a tip of the iceberg. most likely I'm going to be making more videos of the expansions that come in this, and now I must have everything Catacombs. I am already full to the brim on my Amazon list of all the other expansions, which I'm going to be getting, I think, at least one a month. So expect to see those reviews coming out momentarily in the future. But I mean, for a dexterity game, you can't get no better than this. Now you might have to work yourself up to this, maybe play a simple disc flicker. Somebody who's new to the genre, maybe do that. But when they are ready, when you've taught your Padawan the ways of dexterity, bring them to the world of Catacombs. They won't ever want to leave. And I don't either, so I'm going to stop my yambling and just set this game up and play more Catacombs, because I've been playing the heck out of this and I can't wait to show more of this game to you in the future. So again, thank you so much, Ellsworth Games, for providing us with this review copy. It's one of my 10 favorite games, and I mean, stay tuned because I'm going to be making that list here soon. See where this falls in line. Thank you so much, Vi Nation, for clicking like and subscribe. And if you want to pick up this game, it will be in the description below. But until the next time, that's have a great rest of your day and a great time with all you play. My name is Dave, and this has been Catacombs 3rd Edition. Bye. Vi Nation, we love making content here for you on the channel, and we're almost at 10,000 subscribers, so subscribe now and help us out. This video right here, I think you'll like. This video right here, YouTube thinks you'll like. Or you can just sit here and watch me dance the dinosaur for a little bit longer. You can visit us at our social media outlets, and we're going to be improving our Patreon here soon. That's all for today. Miko, it's time to go. Good girl, Miko.